तो सबसे पहले ये तय करना है कि हमें हिंदी में बात करनी है या अंग्रेजी में. English is okay? Okay. No, because I thought we should be clear so that. So we have chosen two topics. Annapurnaji suggested that there is a lot of confusion about these two topics, and maybe if there is some clarity, then we'll be able to follow these things even in our day-to-day life. So about the karma and about the guru. I think these two topics are probably very dear to each one of us heart, and maybe there is a lot of misconception, misunderstanding, and therefore we may not be able to do much about these things. But if we understand the real significance of these things, then you will be really able to follow these principles in your day-to-day life, and then that will make your life more meaningful and happy. Otherwise, with all these misunderstandings, you may find that things don't work, and then your faith is shaken, and then you start doubting, or you simply keep on following mechanically, and then it comes to nothing, and it is just like wasting one's life. So I think it is, if at all you believe in these two things, then better to understand their real significance and follow these things correctly, so that you get the corresponding effects in your life and just doesn't remain a theoretical thing. Now we'll first take up the karma and karma yoga, and then we'll come to the guru. So we begin by saying that every action has a consequence. That is the basic principle in nature. Nothing goes without a consequence. If you think, even that thought has a consequence. If you feel, that feeling has a consequence. If you do something, you act, that action has a consequence. And that consequence is inescapable. You cannot escape it. You have to accept it. And the effects of your actions will always come back to you. You cannot avoid them, you cannot escape them, and you have to take them up. Now, where does the concept of karma arise? See, you act, and if the effect is immediate, you touch fire and your hand gets burnt. So, action immediately followed by the consequence. Then there is no karma here. It doesn't happen that you touch the fire today and your hand gets burnt tomorrow. Right? It never happens that. Action immediately followed by the effect, the consequence. So there is no karma involved here. But if you have acted and effect is not immediately followed, effect may happen after some time, maybe after years, or may not happen till your death. So that is where the concept of karma comes. I have acted now, but the effect is not immediately there. It may come, it may not come, and one may say that, well, after all, there may not be any effect, so I will keep on acting like this. But our basic principle holds. We say that every action will have its consequence. It is inescapable. So if you keep that principle in the mind, then whether you are able to see the effect or not able to see the effect, you will never say that therefore there is no effect, and you will continue to do that wrong thing or whatever you like to do. So when there is a time gap between your action and its effect or consequence, right, that is where the karma. So what karma means? Karma means the accumulated consequences of your actions. So you have acted, the consequence hasn't happened, time gap. So during that time you are not sitting quiet, you are acting, and that action also, the effect is not taking place immediately. And so you are going on acting and acting and acting as you live your life, and for each of this action the consequence is getting accumulated. So that accumulated consequence will come back to you sometime, we don't know what time, depends on whether the time and circumstances are favorable for that consequence to come out and work itself out, then accordingly it will come out, right? And so all these accumulated consequences, they are what we refer to as karma. So my karma is my own creation. It is not something which has come from outside. It is not something which is imposed on me. And if my future is decided by these consequences, by these actions, right, then my future is decided by me. It's not somebody is deciding it. So we can say that I am the maker of my own destiny. There is no outside agency which is deciding my destiny. I may forget what I have done, but the nature doesn't forget. Everything is there in the record with all the minutest details, and with all that it will come back to you. And so there is no point in blaming the luck or blaming somebody else, all these things, because whatever comes to you, it is coming out of your own actions. Because as you have lived your life, you have accumulated lots of consequences, lots of effects which are yet to be worked out, and they will work out as and when it is possible for them to be worked out, and therefore you are the maker of your own destiny. So that is one aspect. Now you may say that a person has acted in a certain way and the effect has not come to him, and he dies and still the effect hasn't come to him. So does that mean that he has escaped the effect of his actions? He kept on acting, maybe a wrong way, whatever way, to his benefit, in a selfish way, right? All these things, and without, and consequences of none of his actions have come to him. And then meanwhile he dies. Death means everything over, finished. Then what happened to his accumulated consequences? That means he has escaped them. So that is where the necessity for the continuity after the physical death arises, which means that the death of the body is not the end of everything. There is something which continues beyond the death of the body. And what continues is all these accumulated consequences, they continue to exist. Body is dead, consequences are there, they will continue. And so with these consequences, then a new incarnation or birth takes place. Then in that birth, these consequences will be accompanied with that, and then they will try to work itself out. So which means that the theory of karma necessitates the theory of reincarnation also. They go together. Otherwise, the theory will not hold. Then, since the human beings have come into existence, from that point, as they have lived their life, each human being has accumulated consequences, accumulated karma, right, which is to be worked out. So, whatever is accumulated, not yet worked out, right from the beginning, when that human being came into existence, till this point, all that is called as the Sanchit karma. Sanchit, accumulated, stored. That is the Sanchit karma. Now, all this Sanchit karma cannot be worked out in one incarnation, because that has been accumulating for so many lives, for so many incarnations. How can it be worked out in just one incarnation? So, out of that Sanchit, only some portion will be worked out in the present incarnation. So, whatever that has been selected, I mean, we don't select, a person doesn't have a right to select, but the nature selects according to the era, according to the environment, according to circumstances, according to all the available, you can say, environment. According to that, it gets selected that out of all this Sanchit, this much is to be worked out in this incarnation or in this life. So that selected is called as the Prarabdha. So that is the Prarabdha of that human being for this life. And things will happen out of that Prarabdha. So that is the Prarabdha. And while that Prarabdha is getting worked out, the human being is creating new karma, because he still doesn't know how to work out the Prarabdha without creating new karma, because that is what the Karma Yoga is. Karma Yoga means to work out the accumulated karma in such a way that you don't create new karma. Then you are a real Karma Yogi. But until you understand that or you know that, you are working out of old karma is creating new karma. And so that karma which is constantly being created, it is called Kriyamana, Kriyamana karma. So karma which is being created in the present, that is the Kriyamana. So we have these three, Sanchit, Prarabdha and Kriyamana. This Kriyamana then gets added to Prarabdha. If it can be worked out in the same life, then it gets added to Prarabdha. If it is not possible to get it worked out in the same life, then it goes to Sanchit. And then whenever it is possible, it will get worked out there. Right? So, Prarabdha is a part of your Sanchit and to be worked out in this life. And then there may be, say, some of the things, the physical effects of karma, if they are to be worked out through physical illness, through sicknesses, physical deformities, any such thing, then uh, the body of such a person will be genetically modified according to that. What I am trying to say is that karma will make that person be born with such parents through whom he will inherit those genes, and in those genes, then those genes will get modified according to his karma, and according to that, those modified genes, his body will be constructed. So that the body will already have all those possibilities that this person is going to have this illness, this sickness, or if there is any deformity, that deformity is also genetically encoded. And this the scientists are discovering. They say that many of the diseases which a person goes through, they are already genetically coded there. And if we can decipher that genetic code, then we can know what kind of illnesses and diseases this person will be going through in his life. So now, when a so your parents are selected according to your karma, your environment is selected according to your karma, because the prarabdha has to be worked out. And so it will select only such environment and such external things which will allow that prarabdha to be worked out. And therefore, you have no choice which parents you will be born with. Your karma is deciding it. What kind of people you will come in contact with, your karma is deciding. What place, what environment, what opportunities you will get, your karma is deciding. So it seems that probably the prarabdha means everything that probably you are going to live in this life is decided by your own karma. It is your own, it's not somebody who has imposed it on you. And therefore, there is nobody else to blame except yourself for whatever is happening to you. Right? Now, the question is, if everything is decided, then where is the scope for freedom? That means human beings are not free at all. Everything is decided for them. So does that mean that one has to just accept and just live whatever way one is able to live and then forget about it? This creates a sense of helplessness or hopelessness of life. And we see people blaming their karma for whatever is happening to them and not being able to do anything about it. But that is not the correct approach. Past is not in your hands. Future will be decided by the past. So the future is also not in your hand, but the present is in your hand. And if you can do something in present, that can also modify your future, which means that by acting rightly in the present, you can create a better future, or whatever future you want for yourself, you can create that. So then what is the right thing to do? How does one go through one's life as the situations they arise? How does one face them so that one creates a right kind of future for oneself? Right? Now there are laws of nature, and the laws of nature are different than the laws of human beings. Laws of human beings are arbitrary, decided as per the convenience of human beings. They can be changed. There is a punishment uh, decided for the breaking of each law, but it is not mandatory that a person breaking the law will get punishment. He may escape the punishment also. And so the man-made laws are no laws at all. But the laws of nature are not like that. The laws of nature, they emerge from the order of the nature. The nature, the cosmos, is perfect order, and out of that order come out the laws of nature. Laws of nature are unchangeable. You can't change them. Effects of these laws, they are irrevocable, they are inescapable. you can't avoid the effects. You cannot touch the fire and say that my hand should not get burnt. It will get burnt. Then whether a person is the president of America or whether he is a beggar on the street, doesn't matter. The law is applicable to everybody equally. No favoritism there, right? So because of this unchangeability of the laws of nature, it is possible to work with those laws. See, if every time a law changes, then you can't work. It's like a person who keeps on changing his decisions all the time, and then you say that, oh, it's very difficult to work with that person. You never know what, because he will say one thing at one time, and then you plan your action according to that, and suddenly he changes. He says not this. And so it will be impossible for you to work with such a person. So if the laws of nature were like that, then you couldn't work with them. Then probably the universe won't exist even. But because the laws of nature are unchangeable, you can work with them. You know definitely that if I do this, this is definitely going to happen. So that is how the whole technology has developed, and we have all these mobiles and gadgets, and I mean the way we live, I mean the technology, how it has affected our way of life, we can see that, right? So if you can work with the laws of nature, and all the accumulated consequences, they will also work out according to the laws of nature, then within the laws of nature, right, you can live or you can introduce an action which will change the effect of those consequences which are being worked out, right? So it's like somebody is trying to hit you. If you don't do anything, you will get hit. But you have a freedom to dodge that. You may slightly move, and his blow just passes by you, doesn't hit you, right? So the karma was that you will be hit by that person. So that incident occurred. What was in your hand? To move your head. So you have avoided. Karma is worked out. No harm come to you. So which means that when the consequence is being worked out, right? If you introduce an action within the framework of the laws of nature, then that action can change the effect of that karma, effect of that consequence. So something which would have been very harmful to you, something which would have been very damaging to you, you have avoided that damage, that harm, and you have uh, also worked out the karma, right? So there is nothing to complain. If you react, say a incident or event is happening in your life, and as you are going through that event, right, you react to that event. As a reaction, something arises in you, and then with that you act and so on. And so what is happening there is a new consequence is being created. And in working out of these consequences, there is another factor which is also very important. Yeah, anyway, we are talking about another factor which is very important in life, which is also the part of the law of nature. And that factor is mostly ignored by each one of us. And therefore, we suffer in our life. The factor is each human being, so this is the basic principle on which that factor is based. Each human being has infinite potential to unfold. They say that human being is a microcosm of the macrocosm. Whatever exists at the cosmic level, all that exists in a human being at the micro level. So which means that a human being has a potential of a cosmos. Now if that is the case, then that potential has to unfold, has to actually manifest, and which means that all the movement of nature is directed towards that, so that each human being unfolds, the potential of each human being unfolds. And this whole karma and all this thing is also worked out in the direction of that unfoldment. So karma is not a punishment. Karma is a help to unfold your own potential. And if this is understood, then you will not blame karma. Then you will have to ask, what is there for me to learn from this situation? Because when you learn, then the purpose of that karma is over. It has done its job. You have learnt it, and so it will never come back to you. But if you don't learn, it will come back. So you will find that many times the same kind of situation comes to your life, the same kind of your response, the same suffering, all these things, all that is over. But then again at different time, the same thing will again happen. So if some person is troubling you and you just change your place because you can't face him, but in the new place also another similar person will come and trouble you. And then again you will change that place, and you will find that it's never ending. Wherever you go, there will be always somebody to trouble you, right? So which means that you are just trying to escape, but you are not learning what you are supposed to learn. If you learn to face that situation, and in facing that situation, your inner potential grows, your inner strength grows, you become more capable, right? Then you have learnt your lesson. Then such kind of person will never come to your life. And even if he comes, you have the strength to face him, so it doesn't matter. So in the same way, whatever is happening in your life, howsoever painful it may be, howsoever you may be suffering and all these things, right? You have to look at it and ask yourself, what is there for me to learn from this? Right? And if you can find that out, then you can learn that, and then that thing will never come back to your life. Right? Now, another thing that happens while going through our life is that whatever happens to us, that we react psychologically. We know that we have to do this. There is a compulsion, maybe due to circumstances, maybe due to whatever factors, right? When we know that you have to do it, there is no escape, then why to do it reluctantly? Why to do it with that indifference, or that saying, that boredom, or whatever it is? I mean, when you have to do certain things which you don't like, then what is your mental attitude towards that? Now, if you do it with that kind of mental attitude, you are generating a new karma. If you know that you have to do it, why not do it happily? And not only happily, but do it with full understanding, whatever that needs to be done. Do it, finish it. It's easier said than done. For example, you have a bedridden person at home who needs help to carry out everything, all functions of his day to day living, and there is nobody else, and you have to do all those things. And if you have to keep on doing it for years, then you can see how will be your state of mind, right? I mean, I have seen people waiting for the death of such a person so that everybody is relieved, because it's not the pain just for the suffering person, but it is also a pain for the people who have to look after that person. So here, if you are doing that, anyway, you have to do that job. There is no escape. Now, if we have to do it, why not do it with a positive state of mind, with calm, with quietude, and without any psychological reaction? Quietly do whatever is necessary and pray for the best. In the prayer also, you can't dictate what should happen. Usually we dictate in the prayer. We say, I want this, or we say, let this happen, and all these things, right? But the God doesn't act according to our dictation. Things will happen according to the laws of nature, and if we do not know all those laws of nature, doesn't matter. What you can pray is that whatever is best for that person, let it happen. What is best for that person? We don't know. We don't know his karma, we don't know all the situation, but the nature knows. So it will take care of it. And even if we don't pray, nature is going to take care of it, right? So it doesn't depend on our prayer, but our prayer brings peace to us only. It is for our peace that we pray, and then the things will happen. So that is the principle, which means that in any given situation in your life, you can always find an action which will lessen the pain, which will lessen the suffering, and so that will make the working out of that karma bearable for you, will not harm you, will not create further suffering or pain for you, right? So karma is not a fixed thing which you just uh, retire to and just hope, but you can actively participate in the working out of the karma by introducing those actions which will either change the direction of that effect, or in fact balance, which means then it will nullify the effect. That means after all, the effect will not be there. So for that, I mean, if one is in a learning mode, what I mean is that, because we have said that the constant unfoldment of the human potential is what happens in the nature, or what the nature wants. And if we are living our life in that way, then the more the unfoldment, more will be the understanding, and then more effectively you will be able to face this karma and work itself out, right? So there is no point in just resigning to this karma and say that nothing is in my hands and all these things, and things won't allow me and all those things. I mean, that is just trying to escape one's responsibility towards that. Then There is a situation in our life where we don't know what to do. We need some guidance. There was an interesting experiment which was done by the scientists. So, with the monkeys, they did that experiment. So, there was a trap, and in that trap, the some eatable was kept, and there was a button. So, if the monkey presses that button, the trap will open, and the monkey can get that eatable. So, the monkey learns that. Then the scientist introduces another button there. So, only with one button the trap will open. Now there are two buttons. So the monkey learns to find out which is the correct button, and it gets that eatable. Then many more buttons are introduced, and still the monkey is able to find and get the eatable. Then another factor is introduced in this experiment, that if you touch a wrong button, you will get an electrical shock. So the monkey, they touch the button in order to open the trap, and if it's a wrong button, they will get an electrical shock, right? But still that will not prevent them. So they will touch another, and finally they will find. Now what the scientists do, they increase the intensity of the shock, and monkeys still continue to get that eatable. But when the intensity reaches such a point which the monkeys find unbearable or dangerous, right, then they are afraid to touch any button. Eatable is there, they very much want it, but they can't get it because of this. If they touch a wrong button, and they don't know which button to touch, right, and so they are afraid. So they are just looking at that, completely frozen, not willing to touch any button, afraid to touch it. Now they say that our situation is not different from such a monkey. So many events are happening in our life. If we know what we have to do, we do it, no problem. But when we don't know, right, then that's a problem. If there are several possibilities, maybe you will consider them, you will try to find out which is the correct possibility, means correct button, do that, problem is solved. But if you find that among all those possibilities, there are consequences for each possibility. And if the consequences are very drastic, then you will be afraid to try any of those possibilities. Just like the monkeys are afraid to touch a button. And then you are paralyzed. You simply don't know in this situation what to do. Then you may say that, okay, let me ask someone who knows. But that someone, we don't know whether that someone really knows. Right? So he may say that, well, you try this, and if it turns out to be a wrong button, we are in difficulty. That someone will say, well, I don't know, I just thought that maybe this will work, but if it has not worked, your bad luck. So he may just go away by saying that, but you are the sufferer. Right? And so, whom to ask? Who is going to help you? Right? So this is where the concept of guru comes. Then we need someone who can help us in such a situation. And if there are many such situations happening in our life, then we say that maybe I need someone who will take me through all these difficult situations in life. And that is where the concept of guru comes. So, guru is the one who will point out. Actually, see, this is also just as karma is misunderstood, the guru is also misunderstood. We expect too much from a guru and don't do what the guru expects from us. So it's again a one-way demand, but it doesn't work like that in nature. So the real meaning of the guru is that the guru only points, indicates, shows. It's up to the disciple whether he would take that hint and move ahead, act correctly in his life and get what he wants. But if he expects the guru to do everything for him, then it's not going to happen. Because that goes against the basic principle of nature. Because we have quoted two basic principles of nature. One is that every action has its consequence, it is inescapable. Second principle, we have stated that a human being has infinite potential and everything in nature works in the direction of unfoldment of that potential. So, if that is the basic law, the guru cannot act against that basic law. Guru is a person who understands all these laws of nature. He has no separate self or separate life except the life as per these laws of nature, as per this cosmic order. And he will act only as per that, nothing else. There is no question of favor or there is no question of punishment and all these things. And so, if you expect the guru to do everything for you, then that expectation is futile. Because if guru does that, your potential is not going to unfold. And you will become only dependent on the guru. So, everything happens, you rush to him and he will do it for you. Then what is going to happen to you? You become a dummy. You can't do anything in your life. You can't face the situations. And which guru will want such a dummy disciple? Guru wants a disciple who will intelligently cooperate with Guru to carry out the work which the Guru is doing. And therefore, he will not allow you to become a dummy. So, therefore, he only points, gives a hint. And it's for the disciple to take that hint and act accordingly so that his inner potential unfolds, so that his life becomes beautiful, and so that he is then of some help or some assistance to his guru also. If a disciple is able to carry out some burden of the work of the guru, then such a disciple will be very valuable for the guru. But if a guru has to keep on doing everything for that disciple, such a disciple will be burden for that guru. And so every time you demand something from the guru, you have to also ask yourself, what have I done for the guru? If I have not done anything, I have no right. And why should guru pay attention to me? He doesn't have such time with him. There is so much to do. The universe, the world is very large, very big, and there is always a shortage of hands to do the work. And if Guru is busy in that, why should you pay any attention to the disciple if that disciple is of no use to him? It is just waste of time. And therefore, a true Guru will not pay such attention to the disciple unless he finds that the disciple can be of some assistance, some help in his work. Only a guru who wants to exploit you, he will pay attention to you, full attention. Not only to you, but everything that you have. He will pay attention. He will allure you. He will make lots of promises to you. He will try to extract all kinds of favors from you. Right? And when you are left with nothing, he is going to discard you. So they say that don't go after searching a guru. If you are searching for a guru, you will get a guru of your choice. You will not get a guru who is right for you. And a guru of your choice will be as limited as you are. And he is going to exploit you. Then what is the way? The way is that to live your life in such a way that you keep on developing those qualities, those strengths, creating or doing those actions, right, which are within the framework of these laws of nature. And when you are living your life rightly, and when you are capable, when enough strength is developed in you, unfolded in you, then the Guru will definitely come to you. He will not ignore you. So some disciple, he asked his Guru, there are billions of people, 6 billion human beings. Among those 6 billion human beings, there is one human being who is of help to you, who has grown to that extent. Now, from these 6 billion, how will you find out? How do you know who is that human being? It was an interesting question. Even to find a right person from 100 people, how difficult it is for us. Now, here from billions of people, how is the Guru going to find out the correct person who is really come to that stage? So, that Guru was a real Guru. See, the real Guru is the one who is Jivan Mukta. Jivan Mukta means a person who has worked out all his Sanchit karma. There is no further karma to be worked out, and as a result of which, who has unfolded lots of his inner potential and therefore capable of lots of things which we are not capable of. So that is the Jivan Mukta. So a true Guru is always a Jivan Mukta. Only a Jivan Mukta can accept disciples. Right? We'll come further to that because there are various stages involved in this. But let me complete this example, which is very interesting. So that was a true Guru. He was a Jivan Mukta. So what he did, he raised the consciousness of his disciple to his level. and asked him to look at the whole of the humanity. And what he saw was that it was total darkness. There was not a speck of light. All human beings living their self centered life, selfish life, no light of spirituality. And suddenly there is a spark of light in all that darkness. And that spark of light is that person who has just come to a stage where he can be useful to the Guru. And then the Guru asked the disciple, will you miss such a person? Disciple said, no way, cannot be missed. Because on the background of that total darkness, even a little spark of light will be clearly visible. Just as in a dark night, dark sky, you can see the stars, which are just point light. And so the Guru assures that disciple, nobody will be missed. Anybody who comes up to that will be taken, will be noticed, and then will be accepted. So this is how it is dealt with. So if there are any doubts that maybe Guru may not be able to see me, or I have to constantly remind him by prayers or by this or by that, probably not necessary. Right. Then the which one? Laws of nature. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. We have not yet gone into the details of the laws of nature. We have just mentioned it, right? But should I carry on with this, uh, what I am talking about, the Guru, or you want me to stop there and take up the laws of nature? And yeah, 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 yeah. So we'll bring this up to a point, and then maybe we will quote some of the laws of nature, right, which we can follow in our day-to-day life, right? Yeah. So what does the Guru require? They say that a Guru requires only your love. Guru requires only your surrender. Now, the surrender word is in quotes because you have to understand it in proper context. Otherwise, you will be easily misled. Now, do we surrender completely or we surrender conditionally? We surrender as per our convenience. When it is convenient for us, we surrender. When it is not convenient, we say, no, no, I have to do this. Or maybe Guru has nothing to do with this. I have to manage or do whatever it is. And then we forget the Guru. Then that is not surrender. So the situation is that either 100% or 0%. Nothing in between is acceptable. Either you totally surrender or don't surrender at all. Now, both have its consequences. If you don't surrender at all, it means that you are totally responsible for your life. You cannot ask for help. You cannot ask for anything. You have to use your own resources, your own intelligence to face the situation in your life, right? And learn whatever you are expected to learn and move ahead, right? Does that mean that you will never get any kind of help? Are you completely on your own? It's not that. There are agencies, there are arrangements in nature where if it is found that a help is necessary in a particular situation, in a particular case, at a particular time, then that help does come. It's not that you are just left completely helpless. But from your side, you are not expecting any help, right? You are doing your utmost. You are using all your resources, you are using all your intelligence, you are using everything that is with you. And with all that, you are facing that situation, you are trying to do that. Now, in spite of all this, if anything further is required, that will come from the nature. But that doesn't mean that you just do things and say that I can do only this much and then keep waiting for the nature to do its part. It will not happen like that. The moment there is an expectation, there is a psychological dependence. And why should nature cater to your dependence when nature wants you to become strong, nature wants you to become capable? Why should it let you be lazy and just stay there? And so it doesn't work that way, not at all. When you do your utmost, the nature will also do its part. If you don't do your utmost, the nature will say, okay, why should I do? If that person is not that serious about his own life, why should the nature be serious? When a person is ready to be accepted by the Guru doesn't immediately come to him and accept him and start doing things with him. Such a person is brought in contact with one of the senior disciples of that Guru. And so this candidate, we call him as candidate, is brought into contact with a disciple of that Guru. And that disciple then trains, or by living with that disciple, this candidate starts learning the laws of spiritual life and many other things he will start learning. And most of all, he will start learning those things which will be helpful in carrying out the Guru's work. And only after that candidate has reached a certain stage where he can be completely relied upon and where there is no possibility of that candidate falling back or going back, then only the Guru will allow him to come in contact with him directly. Until then, he will be managed through that disciple. So many times, maybe in that lifetime, the candidate may not be coming in contact with the Guru. So for him, for all practical purposes, that disciple becomes his Guru. But actually the disciple is not his Guru. But disciple is in the place of the Guru or as a Guru, but he is not the Guru. But for that candidate, he is like a Guru, but not a Guru. Right? Because that disciple is also not yet perfect. He will also have his weaknesses, he will also have his problems and all those things. And therefore, he will not be 100% help to him. But he has things which are useful for the candidate to learn and so on. So just like a teacher in the school, right? Teacher is not perfect about everything in life, but whatever the student is supposed to learn, that much the teacher is able to teach him. So it's something similar situation and all that. So a person is supposed to live his life intelligently with understanding, do whatever he can, and then at the appropriate time, that time may not come in this life, uh, the guru will contact him. So now the laws of karma, or rather the natural laws, I mean, yeah. Now we are quite familiar with the laws of nature at the physical level. We have law of gravity, we have all those laws, and using those laws we have technology and we are doing so many things and all those. Are there laws in psychological field? Are there laws which correspond to ethics and morality, or is it completely left to the human beings? Whatever they think as ethics or morality, they can just be like that. Or are there laws of nature with respect to that also? So there are laws with respect to that also. Just as there are laws at the physical level, there are laws at the psychological level also. And because we don't know those laws, because we don't understand them, therefore we think that, well, morality is individual, it's personal. For me, this is ethical, so I will do that. For me, it is unethical, so I will not do that, and so on. And therefore, for each one, the moral code of conduct becomes different. And when such human beings come together, there is a conflict. One says this is not right, that says no, no, but this is right, and so on. And then in that conflict, there is a lot of confusion. You don't know what is right and what is wrong. And finally, you give up and just say that okay, there are no laws in this field. But it's not so, right? Now, one law is that whenever there is a psychological division, the conflict is inevitable. When you consider yourself as psychologically separate from the other person, then the conflict between you and that other person is inevitable. There will be conflict. So this separation is in terms of me and mine, he and his, or they and theirs. And the moment there is such a separation, the conflict will take place. And if we ask, is it possible to live my life without any conflict? Then you have to find out, why do I separate psychologically myself from the other person? And if you are able to stop that, then there is no conflict. So that will come out of understanding of oneself. And that understanding will come through the constant observation of our behavior as we interact with other people, interact with the environment, and so on. Because we may say that, yes, I am always truthful, right? And but if you observe, you will find that in some circumstances you are not truthful, you will speak a lie. And when you speak a lie, you don't accept that you have spoken a lie, but you will justify it, that why it was necessary to speak like that in that situation. And therefore, what happens to the statement that I am a truthful person? It means nothing. So here, what we are saying is that observe yourself, look at yourself as you live your life, as you interact, as you do things in a given situation. Many times, unnecessarily, we will speak a lie or false. And we will say that that was in order to surprise the other person. Or we don't want that person to know a thing. A person may be sitting in his house and receiving a call, and he is expected to leave. So he will not say, I am sitting in the house and I am about to start. He will say, no, no, I am just in the middle of the road and I am just reaching. Right? Now, here, what was the need to say a false thing? You could have straight away said that, sorry, I am a little bit late, I am still at home and I am about to start. But we straight away speak lie. And if in our actions we are not truthful, how can we understand the truths of the nature? We can't. So it is said that if God is supreme, God is the most sacred thing, then to come upon that most sacred, your mind also has to be sacred. With a false mind, you cannot come up to that. And the mind will be sacred only if it understands the sanctity of life and lives according to that. Because your understanding has to be in action also. It's not that I believe in something and I behave completely contrary to that belief. People talk about animal rights and uh, sympathy and care for animals, and then they kill them and eat their meat. So action is totally contrary. So only certain animals have a right to life and other animals don't have. So if you want to live your life without any conflict, right, then you have to find out why the conflict arising in your life. And because you want to learn, you will find out and you will avoid conflict in whatever way possible. If the conflict is avoided, there is peace. Peace in the family, peace with another human being, peace with neighbor, and so on. The most common thing is that when somebody says something to you, immediately you reply in the same coin. Tit for tat. And if you don't reply like that, you feel that you will be taken as a weak person and that other person will trouble you even more. And therefore, if he gets angry with you, you get doubly angry with him. If he shouts at you, you will shout in a louder voice so that he keeps quiet and so on. But that's okay as a play. But if you want to live a spiritual life, then you have to find out the response not according to your likes and dislikes, but you have to find out what is the right response in such a situation. And whatever is right, only that you will do. Facing anger with anger is not a right response. And so, when somebody has said something to you, there is a strong urge in you to reply him in some way. Watch that urge. Take a pause. Ask yourself, is it necessary to say this? If I don't say this, what is going to happen? And so on. And if you take a pause, you will not say it. And then the other person, seeing no response from you, will quieten down. Maybe he takes some time to quieten down. So you have to give him his space. But the conflict is avoided. And if the conflict is avoided, your energy is conserved. And energy is very important. When you conserve your energy, then you have the strength to face the situations in life. Without energy, you are helpless. Then another law, and I will stop after stating that if it is getting late, otherwise we will continue. You can ask questions also. The other important law is you are what you think. This law is also mostly either not known or not understood. You are what you think. If you think rightly, then you are that. If you think wrongly, then you are that. And your thoughts, they don't affect not only you, they also affect the person about whom you are thinking. You have a child in the house who misbehaves, who doesn't study, who is a problem, and you are constantly thinking about his negative points. You are constantly emphasizing by saying that, oh, he is useless, he does this, he doesn't behave, he doesn't study. All the time, your thought is on those negative things. So the child will be like that, because the principle is that you are what you think. So this is what you are actually thinking, that it's a useless child, it's of no use, doesn't study. This is what you are thinking, and therefore this is what the child is becoming. So stop thinking this way. If you want your child to study, think strongly that this child studies well, he behaves, he listens, he respects, and that will help the child to be like that. About you also, if you are constantly worrying, constantly feeling insecure and all those things, then that is what you become. If you say that this is not possible for me, then that very thinking makes it impossible for you. And so you think what is necessary for you to think, what is the right thing for you to think, because after all, you are what you think. And if you are able to do that, you will be also able to find out where it is not necessary to think. And therefore, you will not think about that. Somebody has hurt you, and you end up thinking about that person, end up thinking about how to reply to that person or how to take your revenge and all those things, right? And if you think along that line, that is what you are going to be. And so you'll be wasting your energy in that direction. But if you don't think, even if a person has said something to you, well, he has just created a sound vibration in the air. Why should I get affected by that? What he said was his burden. Why should I accept it and make my burden and suffer? So you don't think about what he has said. You don't take it. and then you are at peace. And then you may think that why he could have said that. And then you can talk to that person in a meaningful way when you are able to talk, not immediately, because he may not be in that state to listen. So you have to have patience when to talk and so on. So this is another law. There may be many more laws, but I think we are just short of time. And we stop, or if there is little time, you can ask questions and we can go further.
So I have a question. Uh, so if a child, like you said, you are what you think. If a child is not behaving, that is the truth. Why should we deceive ourselves into thinking he?
No, you are not deceiving. You know the child is not what you want the child to be. You know that. But you want the child to be something like this. So you are thinking like that. That's all. You are not ignoring the fact.
Sir, you said that the past is and future is also
Yes,
we need
yes, yes,
that
yes.
circumstance.
Right.
Present is with us.
Yes,
Then
yes.
that means whether we have to do that present with our positive, positive thoughts, as how to we deal the present.
Yeah,
That is
that's
what.
right. Yeah. In the present, the things are happening. And how you deal with those things, that will decide your future.
That present things with the positive thing we have to do.
Yes,
That is
yes,
what.
yes, yes. In the present. Yes, in the present. Yes.
Sir, like present will change the future.
Yes.
But what about Sanchit karma? That you have to.
Yeah, Sanchit karma is, you can't do anything about it. It will work out whenever it is to be worked out, right? But when it is being worked out, at that moment you can do something about it. Yes. In fact, they say that because the other factor is also very important, the unfoldment of your potential, the development of your inner strength, right? So if that happens sufficiently, then that Sanchit has no meaning. It will be worked out just like that. Actually, the whole purpose of that Sanchit is to unfold your potential, to develop you. And if you are already developed, that Sanchit has no meaning. It will just go like that.
You have said we require a guru to face the consequences of your life. Yeah.
No, I didn't say that you require a guru.
To not.
What I said was that if you are living your life correctly and if you need help, the guru is there to help you. But if you don't live your life correctly and then you expect the guru to interfere in your life and do things for you, then guru has no time for that. He's already busy. He has billions of human beings to look after. So
If
he
you
has no
follow
time
a
for that.
dharma marga,
Yeah.
then
Follow
you
a
don't require a guru.
which one?
If you follow a dharma marga,
No, no. Whether you require a guru or not, that is also immaterial. Whenever there is, because you may only think that I don't require a guru. But do you know your whole future? Do you know all the things that you are going to go through? You don't know. So why to make such a statement? The reasonable statement is that as long as I am living my life correctly, whenever there is a need for help, the help will come. There is a provision in the nature like that, and that provision is because the nature wants you to unfold. The nature wants you to develop your full inner potential. And just like a tree, A tree grows, flowers, gives out fruits, fulfills its life. And after fulfillment of its life, it also creates the possibilities of the new life because it throws out seeds, and each seed has a potential to become a full tree. So, if we live our life correctly, we also flower, we also fruition we go through, and as we have fulfilled our life, we have created possibilities of another life coming into existence and living and fulfilling. So that is how the things go on in the nature. Yes. You see, this approach you may think is quite impersonal, and maybe some of you may not like it because some of you may be thinking that Guru is your personal property or possession and exclusively your thing, and you don't like to lose that, and so on. But if you have that kind of idea, I think it's a false idea. It may give you psychological satisfaction, but it may not work in your life in a factual way. So, if you want the Guru to do his work or help you, you have to do your work.
So I have another question.
Yeah, probably we can ask later. This is for these people. So, if they want to go for, then we need not prolong. So, if there are no more questions, we can stop at this point, and lunch is waiting for us. Maybe that is the right action to do at this moment.
The religious factor which affects the life. That is one to avoid conflict with others.
Yes.
We have to manage all.
Yes.
And one thing is the law of nature. What is the actual general nature of law?
Yeah.
That we have to act according to
Yes.
that. And we have to select a good guru.
Yes.
That guru we should select in such a manner that is useful to our further human life for the betterment. So these are the three things which I explained to us. Very, very good concept for betterment of our life. Thank you very much, Sanchit.
Sir, very nice speech you have given. Kindly introduce yourself, your name, I want to know.
Yeah, my name is Kishore Khairnar. I live near Mumbai, and I've been coming to Hyderabad since 2000, and I'm connected with this family, Annapurnaji, Venu, all this since long. I have studied Krishnamurti and his teachings, but I am also interested in tradition and whatever our scriptures and all those things. So my wife had studied all those things. So because of her, I came into that field also. And so both the things go together with me, Krishnamurti and the tradition. And because of that, I am able to find out what is the truth in the tradition. So that whatever is unnecessary, you can just drop it, and whatever is valid and important, you pick it up and move ahead. Because it is, after all, your life which is important. Pardon? No, I have not written any book. I have written many articles, but they are in Marathi. So probably I will translate them in English, and maybe I will put it on the website. But I conduct workshops, regular online study workshops in English on different topics. So our next workshop in January is on the topic of love. Yeah. And what is love? What love is not, and how love can help you in working out the karma. how the love can help you in working out the karma. So when we talk about love, actually it is divine love. It's not the love which we are familiar with. In fact, what we are familiar with is not love at all. Love is only divine. Yeah, we have a website. I think Neha. Yeah,
Understandingjkrishnamurti.net is the website.
website. Yeah, that is just one word, no gap, nothing. Understandingjkrishnamurti.net. Yeah, so that is the website. On that website, you will find all the information. Yes. Yeah.
Guru Kripata, he will
There are two more talks I am giving in the Theosophical Society Hall in Hyderabad. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow evening from 6 to 8. And the topic for the first talk is the mutation of the brain cells, whether it is possible, which means that can we change or transform our life completely. That is one topic. And the second topic is the world of creation. That means how creation happens in the nature, how we are part of that creation, how we can be creative in our life as we live, and so on. What is creativity? So that is the topic for the second talk. So tomorrow and day after tomorrow from 6 to 8 in the evening in the Theosophical Society Hall at Abids. I think it is in the area called Abids. Yeah, Abids. Yeah. So that is the immediate. And then, of course, every month, the second weekend, we have a study workshop in English. Yeah. These talks are also in English.